You have traversed the multiverse, past distant and unknown planes, through time and space. Welcome, fellow planeswalker, to Spaventoso Speculates. The spark is within you. Time to begin your search for enlightenment. On this episode, we're going to go over commander cards in the color green that you should be playing and that are mostly budget friendly. Starting us off, we have Abundant Growth. So in green for an enchantment aura, enchant land. When this aura enters, draw a card. Enchanted land has tap, add 1 mana of any color. It's a great color fixer for decks probably running 3, 4, 5 colors of mana. The average price is just under 30 cents, with this version's foil being a little over $3. It's played in 1.42% of decks on EDH Rec, and it has been reprinted a few times. Now, on the commanders that are utilizing this card, Sithis, Dogmeat, Tatsunari, lots of colors, different kinds of commanders utilizing this, not just enchantment-based commanders. I think more players should be utilizing this sort of mana fixing ability, plus it replaces itself. Our next card is Bind. 1 in a green instant, counter target activated abilities. Mana abilities can't be countered. Draw a card. Now this is used in 0.10% of decks, and it's about $4, which is a little bit pricey for this list, but as you can see on the graph, this card has been going up over the past 2 years. So I would suggest picking up a few copies, especially for more type C EDH or like tier 4 sort of decks. I think this is good to have in the collection, multiple copies. The commanders that most utilize this are mostly mono green commanders, but I feel like any green commander or green X commander can utilize this. Ave, Progenitor Ruse, Jolrel, Finn the Fangbearer. Those are some of the bigger commanders that utilize this, but once again, I feel like any type of green commander that has green in it at all, you might want to consider this, especially if you have a lot of opponents that like to do tricky things. Next, we have Compost, 1 in a green enchantment. Whenever a black card is put into an opponent's graveyard, you may draw a card. This is great, especially if you have a lot of black players in your meta. For under $2, I think this is a good pickup to have around in your collection, at least a couple of them, to throw them in your deck whenever a popular new black commander comes out that everyone is playing. You can throw this in there. Foil version's probably a little too pricey right now, but as you can see, a couple years ago this card spiked. It's back down now to a more reasonable price. Some of the commanders that are making use of this are displayed here. It is kind of a meta decision, but it's always great to have a few handy when you think that the metagame calls for it. Card number 4 is Frail Sea's Charm. Enchantment, 2 green. When an opponent successfully casts a black spell, draw a card. Use this ability only once each time a black spell is cast. And 2 green, return it to your owner's hand. Another kind of metagame call. If you have a lot of your friends that are testing out a new black commander, or you notice that your pod is starting to have a lot of black spells in it, this is a great card to slot in there. It is only a quarter, and so if you can find a play set for $1 or under even, maybe you're doing pretty good. Some of the commanders on EDH Rec that utilize this, it's not even just enchantment commanders, it's just kind of any deck that wants to hate on black a lot, I think, can make use of this. And you're in green, so you're going to have a ton of extra mana with all that ramp, so you might as well do something with it. Next card on our list is Insist. 1 green, sorcery. The next creature spell you play this turn can't be countered by spells or abilities. Draw a card. It is only used in 0.09% of decks on EDHREC, and currently the non-foil version is just over $1. The foil version is $8. A couple years ago, this card spiked a little bit. It's gone back down. And I think this is, again, a more sort of tier 4 or like 5 CEDH sort of card, especially for mono green. Especially if you really need your commander to land and you're worried about a counterspell. This can come in handy and give you a fresh card after it resolves. Some of the top commanders utilizing this: Progenitorus, Thrasta, Ayula. Lots of mono green commanders, since they don't have the benefit of some of the other colors to kind of help with these sort of things. But as you can see, also some multicolored commanders are making great use out of this as well. Card number 6, Keen Sense. For 1 green, you get an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. Just under $2 here for this Time Spiral Remastered version, used in 1.27% of decks. And I think that it works best in green if you have some trample. But also, maybe if you have some other colors, you can slap some evasion. So I can put it on a guy with some evasion or some flying. And I think it's a really great way to consistently draw cards if you build around it a little bit. You do kind of put a target on that creature's back, but I think it'll be worth it if you can get 2-3 cards out of this in the long run. Some of the commanders that are taking advantage of this card: the Howling Abomination, Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief, Thrun, Breaker of Silence. Cards like that, I really like it in this like Merfolk Wizard deck. I feel like maybe you can get some Island Walk or some other sort of evasion or some flying and get a lot of cards. Card number 10, Sixth Sense. 1 green, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Sort of similar to the last one, used in 0.66% of decks. 30 cents on this one. $1.13 for the foil. Might be the one I'm targeting. And, I would run both of those. The redundancy is super useful in Commander, since you rarely see very much of your deck. Having cards that do the same thing is always a good idea. These are some of the commanders that are best making use of this card. Again, Thrun and Finn the Fangbearer, Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief. For 1 green, if you can even get 1 draw off of it, I think that's a good deal. For card number 7, we have Provoke. 1 in a green instant. Untap target creature you don't control. That creature blocks this turn if able. Draw a card. It's about a quarter. Used in 0.10% of decks. And it's kind of like a gotcha card. It doesn't have to be used when you're attacking. Just whenever you see an opportune moment. Maybe your opponent has some death touch. Maybe there is a commander that you know is going to get slapped in the face. You can use this card and probably make an enemy, but it might be worth it to remove a threat from the board. Some of the commanders that utilize this, I like it in Legolas, Master Archer, and also in some mono green like Jor-El, Ave, Finn. Again, we're going to be seeing them quite a lot on this list. Up next, we have card number 8, Rowan. 2 and 2 green enchantment. Reveal the first card you draw each turn. Whenever you reveal a basic land card this way, draw a card. Used in 0.06% of decks. 61 cents. But it looks like it's rising a little bit. Maybe people are catching on that this might be a good card. I don't feel that, especially in green, revealing cards just randomly even is a big downfall. People pretty much know what you're doing based on your commander or how many times you've played against them if you play the deck consistently. And there are tons of ways to manipulate the top of your deck. Sylvan Library, Sense's Divining Top, and the like. And so I feel like if you play a bunch of lands, basic lands especially, in green, a bunch of forests, then you're going to get a lot of use out of this card, or have a way to consistently put that forest back on top of your deck. Some of the commanders you can see are mostly mono green. Azusa, Lost But Seeking, you're going to be playing a lot of extra lands in that deck anyway. Kamal, Fista Corrosa, going to want a lot of lands. So it might need to build around it a little bit, but I think if you can consistently make sure that there's a forest or a basic land on top of your deck, you can take advantage of this card. Season of Growth is 1 and a green enchantment. Whenever a creature enters under your control, scry 1. Whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you control, draw a card. A couple years ago, this card spiked to almost $3. It is back down to 30 cents. Even the foil, $1.30, pretty cheap. It's used in 2% of decks. And those 2% of players know why. You can easily draw a lot of cards out of this, especially if you are planning to target your creatures a lot with spells. Or are able to consistently cast the same spells over and over again. Maybe an Isochron Scepter, maybe some way to get them back from your graveyard and cast them again. Here are some of the commanders that utilize this card. I think a lot of green decks are going to like this. As you can see from the commanders here, it's a lot of multicolored commanders as well. And I think with just, adding a couple more spells to your deck, you'll see that you could take quite big advantage of this card. Number 11 on our list, Kenrith's Transformation. 1 and a green enchantment aura enchant creature. When Kenrith's Transformation enters, draw a card. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. It is used in 5.73% of decks, which is quite a lot. And it's only about $1.50 right now. $2.76 for the foil. And I think, as you can see in the past, this card spiked. It's going back up. Now might be the time to snag more copies of these. There's going to be more green commanders that come around that are going to want something like this in their deck, some sort of removal. Green doesn't always have a lot of it, and just 2 mana, this is a pretty cheap removal. Sithis Harvest Hand likes this. I mean, whenever you cast an enchantment, draw a card, that's always great. But again, any green deck that needs a little bit of removal might find a good home for that commander. Card number 12, Life's Legacy. 1 and a green sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, used in 1.81% of decks. And this card is a little bit pricey for this list. As you can see, the price has been kind of volatile, and I see it's back on the upswing. So if you can find it under $3, I think you're doing good. The foil at $12 is a little expensive. Don't know when this is going to get reprinted again. If that's outside of your budget, you might want to wait for a reprint. This can easily draw you 3, 4, 5 or more cards, especially in Commander. Get some really beefy creatures sitting on the board. And if you're going to be playing a board wipe later, or If you want to make yourself less of a target, you can sacrifice your creature and draw a bunch of cards. Yargle and Multani, I think, is probably making the best use out of this, but Gyalta, Primal Hunger, Eve, Progenitors again, Hogak, all these commanders are making use out of this and probably drawing a bunch of cards in the process. Next up, we have card number 13, Multani's Presence, 1 green enchantment. Whenever a spell you play is countered, draw a card. 0.02% of decks play this. It's 40 cents. Foil's a little expensive, but I think this is another meta call. If you got a lot of people in your pod that are countering spells, if you are in a tier 4 or CEDH situation playing green and you anticipate a lot of your spells getting countered, this guy can come down early in the game and maybe draw you a lot of cards. Some of the commanders that utilize this: Sisay Weatherlight's Captain, interesting choice, and the Multani deck obviously is going to be running this, but yeah, a lot of mono green. But I feel like, yeah, it's another meta call. You probably just want a couple of these for your collection, and then when you think a commander comes out that has some good synergies, you'll have it ready to go. Card number 14, Nyla's Presence. It is 1 and a green enchantment. Aura, enchant land. When Nyla's Presence enters, draw a card. Enchanted land is every basic land type in addition to its other types. Used in 0.08% of decks on EDH Rec. 20 cents average cost. Foil under $2. That might be the one I'm looking at. But this is good for multicolored commanders. It's going to give you every basic land type. It's going to help you tap for any kind of mana you need. Or you can play it a little spicy and put it on an opponent's land, and then you have Island Walk, or Swamp Walk, or Forest Walk. Or make a friend. Maybe they're getting a little mana screwed, and you can barter and put it on their land to help them out a little bit and maybe gain some support later in the game. Estrid the Mask, Sithis again. Some of the commanders utilizing this. Miri Cat Warrior. And I think it's best in probably a 4 or 5 color commander deck. But any type of deck, I think maybe even 2 colors, I think you'd find a good spot for this just to help mana fix a bit. Card number 15, On the Trail, 1 and a green enchantment. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, and that is each turn. That's 0.97% of decks, almost 1% of decks on EDH Rec utilize this. Under $1, I think you'd be looking at a good deal here for a rare under $1. It's pretty recent too. And this is gonna need a little bit of help to build around it. Maybe a commander that draws you an extra card each turn. Maybe you're playing green and blue, I think, to have some blue cards that are going to help you draw some cards. If we take a look at the commanders, you'll see lots of these are green and blue. A little bit of green and black. And if you plan around some instant on your opponent's turn and make sure you stock up on a lot of lands, I think you can get tons and tons of value out of this card. Number 16, Overwhelming Instinct, 2 and a green enchantment. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, draw a card. 40 cents average, $1.50 foil. It's going up a little bit, it's trending up slightly. It's used in 0.17% of decks. In green, usually you're going to have a lot of creatures. And usually you're going to want to be attacking with those creatures. It doesn't say you got to attack the same player. And so I think for this minimal investment, And maybe even if you're just attacking with some tokens or some 1/1s, the cards you're going to draw for this throughout the game are definitely going to benefit you. Some of the commanders that utilize this, I like it in the Sliver Hive Lord deck, Finn the Fangbearer, maybe even Toski, since it's going to have to be attacking each turn anyway. And I don't think enough players are utilizing this card in Commander right now. So if you have a commander that can make use of this, or you think there might be one in the future, be sure to pick this up before it gets too expensive, since it's from Onslaught. It's kind of an old set. On to card number 17, Primitive Etchings, 2 and 2 green enchantment. Reveal the first card you draw each turn. Whenever you reveal a creature card this way, draw a card. About 50 cents. It's a rare from Scourge, so almost $7 for that foil. Used in 0.03% of decks. Mostly probably because green players are just going to be afraid to reveal the top card of your library. I mean, there's so many ways in green and in Commander to manipulate the top card of your library anyway. Sylvan Library, Sensei's Divining Top again. Even some putting, bounce spells, putting them back on top of your library, stuff like that. I think this might be worth trying out and building around it, seeing if you can abuse it. Maybe picking it up for cheap now, and a commander comes along later that might make best use out of it. Here are the commanders that are utilizing it. A lot of mono green, mostly because they're probably starved for cards, running a lot of creatures, especially the elf commanders. But Kibu is running it, Kamal. I think it's a low risk to buy into now, especially for an older card. Who knows when it's going to get reprinted. Number 18, Pygmy Kavu, 3 and a green. Creature Kavu. When Pygmy Kavu enters, draw a card for each black creature your opponents control. 40 cents. Foil version, $21. Somebody snapped them all up. Somebody's probably sitting on a lot of Pygmy Kavus, hoping this card spikes. Used in 0.16% of decks on EDHREC. And again, this is another meta call against black decks. Gonna be late in the game. It's all your opponents as well, which is pretty nice. Could draw you a ton of cards for 4 mana if you are in the right pod. Some of the commanders utilizing this. Lots of multicolored commanders. I see Morphon on here as well. That's an interesting choice. But, yeah, let me know in the comments if you use this card and what's the most amount of cards you've ever been able to draw off of it. Card 19, Runic Armasaur, 1 and 2 green creature dinosaur. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you may draw a card. 2/5, 3 for a 2/5. That's a power creep. 1.84% of decks utilize it. Still pretty new card, printed in 2023. It was over $4. It's since gone down, so now might be the time to snap it up. I'd be looking for about $2, maybe $2.50. Foil is a little pricey, but this, all the time, especially at higher level tables, people cracking fetch lands, tapping their creatures for all sorts of things. And it's may draw a card, so if somebody goes infinite with something, you can maybe draw a lot of cards in your deck to dig to find the answer. I think this is a low risk to try out in some green decks, not just dinosaur decks, but as you can see, lots of multicolored commanders are making use of this. And maybe they're onto something here. Some of these commanders, half of the players are using it. 40%, 35%, so they might be finding some success that you're missing. So go ahead and try it out. Getting to the end here, just a couple more. Card number 20, Shaper's Sanctuary. 1 green, enchantment. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. This was $6, it's now under $8. 0.23% of players utilize this. I think there was a little bit of buzz when this initially came out. People thought it was going to be a big old staple. And then maybe they tried it out, and maybe they didn't like it. Under $2 for the foil might be a good deal too. I think this is good, especially early in the game. If you're able to get this out on the board, I think you can make a pretty big investment in cards. I think it'll draw you a lot of cards over the game. A lot of people running removal these days. So I think for 1 green, for $1, you might need to try it out if you don't have a whole lot of card draw in your deck. And here are the commanders that are utilizing the card. Like it in Gadok T, Kamarawin the Nurture, even Legolas, you're utilizing this. But again, for 1 green, I don't think you can go wrong in any sort of green deck, especially if your pod or if your metagame has a lot of removal and they're targeting your creatures a lot. Thanks for watching. I hope that you can find a lot of use out of these green cards and pick them up cheap before the prices spike. And here is the cheat sheet of all the cards that I listed, if you didn't want to listen to me speak through all that. But appreciate you watching. Go ahead and take a look at the other videos in the playlist if you're interested in more similar videos. And now, your time on this plane has come to an end. Wherever the multiverse takes you, travel safe and keep an eye out for future episodes or check the playlist for additional videos.